Well, good evening. Welcome to Fox News Tonight. I'm Piers Morgan, and yes, they let me back. It's that million-dollar question, the treacherous puzzler that's frazzling the biggest brains in politics, leaving our public figures around the world trembling and terrified. It's not what will stop inflation or how do we broker peace in Ukraine. It's this. What is a woman? Now, spoiler alert, it's an adult human female. That's been the case for thousands of years, since the very dawn of civilization. But now, people aren't so sure. We're being told that a woman is pretty much anyone who feels like they're a woman, who puts their hand up and goes, I'm a woman. It's an increasingly weird and hysterical campaign to make us believe the sky is green and the grass is blue, and that anyone who disagrees is instantly a bigot. And ironically, it's being led by women who, before all this nonsense, were the leading feminists. People like US women's soccer superstar Megan Rapinoe. She says excluding trans athletes from women's sports is taking away people's full humanity. Really? Rapinoe adds that she'd welcome a transgender woman replacing a biological female on the US national team. Coincidentally and conveniently, she said that just as she's retired herself, so it wouldn't be her place that would be taken. And of course, we already know what the result of Rapinoe's demands would look like. A few years ago, the US women's team played FC Dallas's under-15 boys team, and the boys won 5-2. And that women's team is probably the best that's ever played the game. So there's the evidence. It's just a biological fact. The boys were more physically superior. That doesn't denigrate from what the women did. It's just a statement of the bleeding obvious. Well, thankfully, there are other female athletes speaking out against this madness. Tennis legend Martina Navratilova reacted to Rapinoe's recent comments with a perfect one-worded tweet, which had a very British sensibility to it. Yikes! And that's how I feel. And this ideology isn't limited to athletes. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson was famously stumped by the question, what is a woman, during her confirmation hearings.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
The meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
You're appointed to the Supreme Court of the United States as a woman, and you don't know what a woman is? I'm not a baker, but I can identify a fruitcake. And what's interesting about this particular mind virus, as Elon Musk would put it, is that it's become a global pandemic. In my country, our politicians believe women, clearly according to them, have penises.
Can a woman have a penis?
Well, I've just answered that question.
They can.
Listen, I've made it really clear that if people, the vast majority of people will have the same gender as their biological sex, but a small number won't.
So a woman can have a penis?
Well, quite clearly.
Quite clearly? Really? Again? I can't believe any of this really needs to be explained, especially to political leaders. New Zealand's new Prime Minister, Chris Hipkins, was reduced to rubble by the very same simple question.
To be honest, Sean, that question's come slightly out of left field for me. Biology, sex, gender, people define themselves, people define their own genders. In terms of gender identity, I think people define their gender identity for themselves.
He's the Prime Minister of a country. Now, I interviewed singer Macy Gray on my show Piers Morgan Uncensored last year, and she answered completely honestly about what a woman is. She said this. If I asked you what a woman is, what would you say?
I would say a human being with boobs. You have to start there.
Yeah, I mean, the dictionary is quite straightforward. It just says a human, adult, female, right?
I will say this, and everybody's going to hate me, but as a woman, just because you go change your parts doesn't make you a woman.
OK, that was her honest opinion, and I would suspect most women would share that opinion. But in a sign of the times, Macy Gray was hit with such a furious backlash, she had to go on the Today Show on NBC to apologise just days later.
Being a woman is a vibe, and it's something I'm very proud of, and it's very precious to me. And I think that if you, in your heart, feel that that's what you are, then that's what you are, regardless of what anybody says or thinks.
That's not what she said the first time. and that's not what she meant. But that's cancel culture for you. You submit to the mob or you be condemned. You apologize for saying what you actually believe, or that's it. You're done. Well, one woman who wasn't afraid to speak the truth on this is Roseanne Barr, who gave me this hilarious answer when I put the question to her yesterday. Now, listen, Roseanne, let me ask you the most difficult question in the world, apparently. What is a woman?
How much do I weigh?
No, what is a woman?
A woman is me. A woman is somebody whose breasts hang down to her stomach and who has a prolapsed uterus from giving birth to 5 ungrateful little who have never had to work for a thing in their life. That's what a woman is.
Have you ever heard a more fabulous description or definition of a woman than that from Roseanne Barr? And she did go on to say her kids would find that very funny because you know why? They have a sense of humour. And I know comedy's banned as well in this ridiculous woke world we have to endure, but you're allowed to have a laugh, even with your mum. Well, Roseanne Barr's opinion is probably a lot closer to where most adult humans of both varieties are on this subject. A Washington Post poll earlier this year found that 57% of Americans believe gender is based on the sex assigned at birth. Even a majority of millennials and young people agree. So why is the question, what is a woman, so impossible to answer?
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.